When we come back, we'll take a look at the new DJI Phantom 3. What's up guys, super excited to do a review on the new Phantom 3 by DJI. I've been waiting for this for about a year, and finally my wife broke down and she bought it for me. I've always been into photography and videography, and the equipment that you use definitely makes a difference. And when the RC toy helicopters came out, I remember saying to myself, man, that's so awesome. I actually bought one, and I used to look at it and try to figure out a way to attach a camera onto it. A couple years later, my dad actually bought me one, which has a tiny VGA camera on the bottom here. You can't control it with the remote or anything like that. The only thing you can do is hit record and take pictures with the handheld remote. And this little toy helicopter has a SD card slot, and it gives you about 5 minutes, 10 minutes of runtime. It was really awesome, and I loved flying it. The only problem I had was the video quality was terrible. You had to have extreme bright light in order to get videos that were actually viewable. I took this toy helicopter to Destin to take some nice videos of the beach, but the video was actually very grainy. It was very noisy, and it was not stable at all. It was all over the place, and I almost lost my helicopter a couple of times. This toy helicopter led me on my exploration on trying to find something that will give me professional looking videos from the sky up above. At the time, I had no idea what a quadcopter was, but I could definitely see how it would be able to give you more stabilized video. And with the GoPro camera attached to it, I knew your videos would look, at least like it came from a video camera instead of a webcam. I came across some quadcopters by 3 companies, DJI, Parrot, and 3D Robotics. And the quadcopter I was actually contemplating on getting was the one from 3D Robotics called the Iris Plus, mainly because it had the follow me feature. And at the time, the one from DJI was the Phantom 2, where you had to buy the camera, the GoPro camera, and add it to it. But after looking into the Iris Plus, I realized that a lot of people were very unhappy with it, and they said the quality was that of a toy instead of a, quadcopter, hobby quadcopter. And then about 7-8 months later, I find out that DJI released the Phantom 3. And to make it more sweet, they include a camera that can actually be streamed to your remote. Now this is the Phantom 3 Professional, which runs about $1,200. The main reason why I got the Professional was future proofing. Now this is going to be my first 4K camera. I do not own any other camera that's capable of shooting 4K videos. But enough babbling, let's jump right into this. Okay, so we're just going to open up the box here. And the first thing you see is the warning sticker with the manual attached. So you got your stickers right here, and then you have the manual on this side. Remove this, and here we got the quadcopter. So this right here is the remote. This is to hold your smartphone, as you probably guessed already or seen in other videos. Antenna for the light bridge technology. It's a lot bigger than I thought it would be. I don't know why I thought it would be smaller, but yeah, I mean, if you're watching this video because you're contemplating on buying this, this video is not going to do you justice, because this is way better than I thought it would be. The remote is actually feels really nice. The quadcopter is nicely sized. I mean, yeah, when you get it yourself, you'll see what I'm talking about, if you plan on getting it. But again, here's the remote, and then we have the quadcopter. The hell is this? Oh well. So we got the quadcopter. So we have the quadcopter with the camera, the sensors. Small. I like that. Okay. Then we have the charger. Now they say that the professional actually comes with a more powerful charger. So I'll let you know how powerful it really is when I test it out. But here's the brick and the cable for the charger. And we got a micro USB cable. And then over here in this little box says accessories. Shows a picture of a wrench on it. When we open it up, sure enough, they are accessories. And then last, we have the propellers, which are in this nice case here. And I'll pull up. And these are the propellers. Okay, so the nice thing about this drone is that it comes already assembled in the box. The only thing you got to do is put on the propellers. And to do that, all you do is you take a propeller, and assuming you already took off the plastic annoying wrap around it, you just twist it on. So the battery is right back here. It's a 15.2 volts battery, and the SD card goes right here. The SD card it comes with is a Lexer 16 gigabyte card. Now this is a 4K camera, so I could imagine that video will eat up space. So what I did was I went ahead and I bought a 64 gig SD card from SanDisk, and this one is for 4K videos. So it has a fast read and a fast write speed, and everyone recommend it for 4K cameras. Alright, so let's charge up and fly this puppy. Now before I start, let me just mention that I, like an idiot, did not read the instructions. If you did read the instructions, you would know that the black color blades go on the black axle, and the silver color tip right here goes on the silver axle. I thought it was just a choice of color, so I went with silver, and I put in also, it comes with a set of extra propellers, so I took all silver and put them all on each 4 motors, and the results I got was actually very scary. The drone was not taking off. I thought I received a defective unit, but when I read the instructions, I found out that silver goes on silver axle and black goes on black axle. Once I did that, the drone was able to take off. Okay, so we tested the drone in multiple areas and we got mixed results. Let's first start with the quality. The video quality for this camera is absolutely amazing. It's like sending this camera up in the air and getting some beautiful video shots. So some of your selections for the video quality is you have 1080p 60 frames per second, you have 1080p 30 frames per second, you have 1080p 24 frames per second, and for 4K you have 30 frames per second and you have 24 frames per second. So flight time is correct. It's about 20-21 minutes. That's how long you can fly this drone before the battery dies. Let's start with the pros. The drone is actually very nice and small. My biggest fear was that it'd be so big people will be able to spot it in the sky and they'll shoot it down. This drone is small. You can't spot it in the sky unless you're looking up, and to shoot it down, I don't think, you have to have some dead accuracy to shoot this down. And the reason why I'm talking about shooting down drones is because it seems like it's a common thing now. There's even a bullet manufacturer that manufactures bullets for killing drones. The gimbal on this drone is incredible. It makes stabilized image that's totally smooth. You can't see any rough movement at all. The only time you'll be able to see a rough movement is if you jerk the drone. The battery with the charging kit that came with the professional model charges really fast. I'd say I waited about 45 minutes for a battery to go from dead to fully charged. Now for the remote control, I love the way this remote feels. It looks nice, it feels nice, it feels like it's well made. it's just an awesome remote to hold. And that's one of my fears when I bought this drone. I was looking at the Parrot drone, and if you saw the remote for the Parrot drone, it actually looks pretty awesome. So now when I saw this remote for the DJI, I got kind of depressed because I was like, it's not really a fancy remote. But it actually does a job, and it does the job nice. Now, like I mentioned before, when I first started this review, I had a remote control helicopter, and I used to fly that a lot. And I got used to those controllers. So flying this drone, pretty easy, but not as easy as I would like it to be. But the nice thing is I was able to reconfigure the controls so they match that of my helicopter. And the best feature about this camera I like is that it comes with a safe mode, beginner's mode turned on. And what that does is it limits the altitude and the distance away from the controller that you can fly this drone. And the distance is 30 meters. So if you fly 30 meters high, the drone will start to say maximum altitude reached. But once you become a better flyer, you can take off beginner's mode. Okay, and now for some cons. Now this drone is awesome, and I would love to say it has no flaws, but I did come across a couple of them. My biggest gripe is the light bridge technology used in this drone. It's not as sophisticated as I thought it would be. It worked okay at my first location, but my second location, I received massive delays in the video signal. These massive delays ended up causing a lot of confusion when setting the camera angle so I can take nice videos of myself or the floor below. The visual positioning system doesn't exactly work as advertised. From the amount of times I've flown this drone, the VPS actually only came on once, and that was only for about 5 seconds, and then it turned off. And the reason why it turns off and on is because GPS overrides the VPS. If there's no GPS signal, then it'll move to the VPS. Now for my drone, when GPS came off and the VPS came on, definitely wasn't as stable as it is when it's on GPS mode. The drone did move back and forth, left and right, a lot more than it does when it's on GPS. So for me, I think the VPS was more of a gimmick. And yes, I do have a nice pattern on the floor that the camera could lock onto. When the VPS came on and the GPS came off, the drone actually drifted into a wall. Now the return to home, it gets it right, but not exactly right. I mean, I'm probably being a little harsh, but when I used the return home feature, it actually brought the drone about 5 feet away from where I originally launched the drone. I guess I was expecting it to return at the same location where it took off from, but I mean, that's unrealistic. Now upgrading the drone itself was pretty easy, but the remote was an entirely different situation. There was a lot of confusing material from the DJI website that tells you how to upgrade your remote. Like for instance, in my manual, it said to upgrade the remote using the DJI Go app, but that wasn't the case. The DJI Go app could not update my remote. I actually had to put the same upgrade file onto a USB drive and plug it into my remote. And the only reason why I knew I could do that was I found a forum where someone said you can upgrade the remote like that. But DJI does not state that you can upgrade the remote using the USB. At least that's what I saw. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But for me, when I was looking on the DJI website, I couldn't find anything like that. And my last problem, it's not a huge problem. It's not even a DJI problem. It's just that it's very hard to control. But like I said, it has nothing to do with the drone. It's when you're flying outdoors, that sun really beats on your phone and you can't see a single thing. It's very hard to see the video feed. So make sure you do get a sun hood for your remote. Now, I do know that if this thing had sound, you probably would only be able to hear the propellers, because my helicopter has sound and that's all you hear. You just hear those loud propellers. But it would be nice if there was if they had like a mic that would be able to eliminate the sound of the propellers, so you can get a taste of what the world sounds like from up there. And I know most of you are probably like, what the heck are you gonna hear up there? Well, you can hear the cars below, you can hear any birds in the area. If you're at the beach, you can hear the ocean, things like that. But I mean, it's not a big issue. You can just do a separate sound recording and then just dub it into the video file for the drone. Now, when I put the 60 frames per second 1080p video file on this for this review, it's going to automatically convert it to 30 frames per second. You're not going to be able to see how it looks when it's shot from the camera. But if you are interested in that, let me know and I'll upload a separate video with just a video of the drone shooting in 60 frames per second, so you can get a good idea of how that looks. It looks really clean, really smooth. I was really impressed. But I don't think it's something you would use for your video production, as it makes it look like, you know, it's shot from a personal handheld camera. Most people tend to use 24 frames per second and 30 frames per second, which gives it a more cinematic look. And that concludes this review. Now remember, if you're in the market looking for a drone, DJI isn't the only drone manufacturer out there. There's hundreds of other manufacturers that make drones. Even Sony came out with a drone. But the reason why DJI is well known is because, number one, their products are awesome. And number two, not only are they for personal use, but there's actually a lot of professionals who use their drones also. And number three, it comes ready to fly. And that concludes this review. Thank you for watching, and you have a good one.